Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DALESCENTER NASCAR Betting Daytona 500 preview time. I got 10 bets, technically more than 10 bets, but 10 drivers that I'm looking at that you should consider. I'm probably betting on all of them that you see here on DALESCENTER NASCAR Betting. It's the Daytona 500. The 68th edition of the Great American Race is this Sunday. We've got trucks on Friday, Xfinity on Saturday. Might be able to bet on ARCA if you have Bovada. I get that question a lot. I think Bovada is the only book that I've seen that has given ARCA odds over the past like 4 years. Hopefully that will change. It's always kind of fun to get in on the action, regardless of what racing series it is in the world of stock car racing. Thursday we have the duels, and Wednesday we have Cup qualifying. I can go ahead and tell you right now, I will not be betting on Cup qualifying. I will be betting on the duels as long as the prices are right. But we're here to talk about the Daytona 500. What happens in practice, what happens in qualifying, what happens in the duels does not affect me for the Great American Race. It can affect the outcome of the Daytona 500 if somebody crashes and has to go to a backup car. Even if that happens, that just does not concern me in a major way because the field is so even in the Gen 7 NASCAR era, which is partially why we love it and maybe partially why we hate it at the same exact time. Nonetheless, I got 10 guys that you should consider betting on in the Great American Race. Most importantly here, when we consider all these guys, be sure to scan the books, multiple sports books. I got a bunch of them pulled up here. I'm going to reference just several different sports books based upon the best price available. There's a lot of shifting that's been happening. Odds on the bottom of your screen, courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook. They are not the best odds, by the way. Perfect example of this, Denny Hamlin, who I have already bet at 18-1. He's not going to make my top 10, just a heads up, because I don't know if I was going to plan on betting Denny Hamlin until I saw that price. I saw 20-1, didn't get there in time. My Discord was talking about it. Some of those guys bet it. Shout out to the Discord. I got 18-1. You know, I feel like this is a moment where I am kind of chasing the price because you're going to leave a three-time Daytona 500 champion at 18-1, who, by the way, was leading halfway through the white flag lap last year in the Daytona 500. I mean, 18-1 is a little crazy. So that shift has happened on DraftKings. I don't think he was 18-1 on DraftKings at any time. He was probably more like 14-1, 15-1. Now he's 9-1, and he is the outright favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook, which is crazy because Ryan Blaney is the odds-on favorite on most other sports books. Anyway, just throwing that out there. Let's get right into it. Starting out here for the Daytona 500, the first driver we are going to discuss is... Where is he? Why did that not work? Why did that not work? All right, let's try this. Gonna work this time? There we go. All right, we'll start with Kyle Busch, KFB. I don't want to miss anybody. We'll have to figure out what the fuck just happened. Kyle Busch, top Chevy, plus 800. 8-1 over on Hard Rock Bet. You can bet this on DraftKings or Caesars at the moment. I think DraftKings has 7-1. I think Caesars has plus 750. Not a big enough discrepancy to be the biggest deal ever. So if you want to bet it on either of those books and you don't have Hard Rock Bet, go for it. Kyle Busch, is this the year? One thing to consider here with KFB is he's got the fourth best average finish amongst all drivers on drafting tracks dating back to the beginning of 2023. That's an important stat because it tells you, and this is going to be a recurring theme throughout all these drivers that I discuss, he's making it to the end of these races. He's had some heartbreaks. 2023 with the Daytona 500 late race caution kind of dethrones them when they had their teammate Austin Dillon lined up behind them, ready to push them to a victory. 2024 to get into the playoffs. White flag. Harrison Burton flies around the outside, beats him there. But when you consider he won at Talladega, he didn't win by being the best that day, but the top two wrecked in front of him, and he was right there. So I think one big key here, you know, with the eye test, you can kind of see this from a spreadsheet or driveraverages.com or racing reference as well, is the ability to get there at the end. And I hate to say it, but with Kyle Busch, man, it seems like his best opportunity to win a cup race these days is right here, right there, Daytona International Speedway, or Atlanta coming up next week, or Talladega coming up in a few weeks after that. So you can argue that current day Kyle Busch, present day Kyle Busch, his best strength, his most consistent strength has been on these drafting tracks. So maybe you've given up on KFB in terms of the outright, which is going to show up here in a second. Again, 22 to 1. I've already bet it. That line was available on FanDuel Sportsbook. Not sure if it's still there. If you can find 20 to 1, that's good. He runs well enough that I do think a breakthrough in going to victory lane is not out of reach, just because he's always there at the end. But if you've given up on that, the top Chevy line, 8 to 1, that's a good line for him. You know, I don't know the exact statistics on how often he has been the top Chevy on the drafting tracks, at least in the Gen 7 era, but I would imagine it's worth 8 to 1. Kyle Busch has been consistent enough to warrant at least a bet in the manufacturer department. I don't know if I'd go below 7 to 1, but this is going to be a pretty important part of my betting card, having Kyle Busch top Chevy and then a sprinkle on the outright. So that's a good way to start here. I like KFB. Is this the year? I don't know, but we'll find out. Speaking of is this the year, Brad Keselowski's in the exact same boat. However, Brad Keselowski has many more accolades in terms of this type of racing behind me. Brad Keselowski has been unbelievable. He's one of the great all-time super speedway racers. He has 6 runner-up finishes in the drafting tracks, on the drafting tracks since 2021. 2021, his last drafting track win was Spring Talladega. He finished second Fall Talladega, and then he's finished second 5 more times in the Gen 7 era at drafting tracks between Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. I mean, he's been remarkably close. You know, I say Kyle Busch is close. He's always there. Keselowski is, we know he's a master of the draft, right? But the issue for him has been closing, which is, it's interesting because in his Penske days, he was an expert at closing the deal. You could argue Keselowski has one of the most clutch wins ever, Fall 2014 Talladega. I know it feels like that was 100 years ago, but it matters because before he left Team Penske, he was a clutch up king. You know, he wasn't the Kevin Harvick style closer, but he was pretty close in some of those prime Team Penske years. Talking about his new tenure, his new venture with RFK, he's been the exact opposite. He gave up Atlanta 2023, gave up Atlanta last year, went for the win at Talladega 2024. Michael McDowell, I mean, you can say that's not as much of a choke, but he's right there in a winning position. McDowell spins across his nose, Tyler Reddick wins it. I mean, the heartbreaks for Brad Keselowski have been off the chain. He doesn't just run well, he runs exceptional. And I have to say, I like the narrative. It'd be sick if one of the RFK cars won with the Greg Biffle font in honor of Greg Biffle. Throw the narrative in there too that he just got hurt. He just got cleared on Monday to race in the Daytona 500 after, I think, a skiing accident, broke his leg. The narratives are there. The statistics are there. Is the magic there? And many times in the Daytona 500, it takes magic. Let's just be real. Forget the statistics. Forget the eye test. It takes magic to win this race. And I'm a big believer in Brad Keselowski. And I'm going to continue to believe until he is completely, as Gen Z likes to say, washed. I don't think Brad is washed. I do not think Brad Keselowski is washed. He's got a long way to go in his career, and I think he's going to break through and win a Daytona 500. I'm not sure about Kyle Busch. Not sure about a couple other guys. But I do think Brad Keselowski will eventually win one, and it could be on Sunday. So I'll bring him up one more time real quick. 22 to 1 outright. Regardless of if you think he's going to win, that's an outrageous line. You know, I talked earlier, I opened up with saying I kind of chased the Denny Hamlin line at 18 to 1. This is pretty absurd. And this line's available right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. Caesars had it at 22 to 1 for a while. DraftKings has it now. I think the Bet Rivers Bally has 20 to 1. That's appropriate for a guy that is as dominant as Brad Keselowski in this style of racing. You got to take it. I'm ready for heartbreak, though. Moving on to the next guy, we're going to talk about Ryan Blaney, talking about the Pied Pipers of super speedway racing. Let's go back to back with Brad K and then Ryan Blaney. He is my favorite bet to win the Daytona 500. I think he, in the Gen 7 era, is the purest NASCAR driver on drafting tracks. He's just been unbelievable. I mean, 5 finishes of first or second at drafting tracks since the Gen 7 era began in 2022. He leads laps. He wins stages. I think he's going to win a stage on Sunday. When he doesn't have, and I feel like that wreck curse that felt like it was happening. Remember, it felt like he was getting wrecked every single week. Every single time we came to one of these drafting tracks, especially Daytona, he took an unbelievably hard hit, I think in 2024 in the tri-oval or off of turn 4. And the narrative had flipped from being the next all-time great super speedway guy to all he does is get wrecked. He has the worst luck ever. Well, come back 2025, he wins at Daytona. He's had other good runs. Ryan Blaney is primed to win the Daytona 500. He is the favorite on the majority of sports books for a reason. There doesn't have to be much said about Ryan Blaney with how successful he has been in this particular style of racing, not just in the Gen 7 era, but in the Gen 6 era too. He won at Talladega and Daytona, and he's been close to winning at New Atlanta, since they went to the drafting package. So Ryan Blaney, I'm all in. Biggest bet of the Daytona 500 is on Ryan Blaney. Moving on to the next guy here, we are going to talk about Erik Jones. It's time to go sleeper mode. Erik Jones is just it's just easy, man. He is the go-to sleeper every single time we come here to one of these drafting tracks. And when you look at Erik Jones in terms of top Toyota, 12 to 1 on Caesars Sportsbook. Since they joined Toyota, talking about his team, Legacy Motor Club, since Petty, Jimmy Johnson rebranded to Toyota, he's been the top finishing Toyota in 3 of the 12 drafting track races. So that's at a 25% clip. And his odds are 12 to 1 to be top Toyota. So do the math there on probability. That's a steal of a line if you can get it. I also took his top 5. I posted that already via dubclub.win. You can find that link below in my bio to see all my detailed picks with unit allocations. I'll remind you of that later in the program. But Erik Jones is always a vital part, and he has helped win me some money on these drafting tracks. He should have won the dual race last year too, where he got robbed in a photo finish with Austin Cindric when they threw the caution when they were a testicle hair away from the finish line. Complete bullshit. We all know that. But Erik Jones is always competitive in this style of racing. Multiple top 5s over the past couple years. I love Erik Jones in this spot for a top Toyota bet, a top 5 bet if you can get 7 to 1 or better. Check Caesar Sportsbook for the top 5, which is where I got 8 to 1 a few nights ago. And then outright, 50 to 1's available on Hard Rock Bet. 40 to 1's all right. You know, maybe if you have a little boost them from 40 to 1 to 50 to 1 or 60 to 1. If you've got any type of promos, the books are going to be flowing with promos this week. I imagine you're going to see more of them probably starting tomorrow that are Daytona 500 related, if you haven't already seen them. So Erik Jones, perfect sleeper to start out with here on Dale Center. And then on to the next guy. The biggest sleeper of the Daytona 500 is Christopher Bell. Hell's Bell. Favorite nickname ever. Underrated nickname. Christopher Bell, Top Toyota plus 650 via DraftKings Sportsbook, and then the outright at 22-1 via DraftKings Sportsbook. I can maybe understand the outright line. You know, he wanted Atlanta last year. There he is right there. He wanted Atlanta last year in a close race. But the top Toyota line makes no sense to me at plus 650. He has by far, ladies and gentlemen, been the best finishing Toyota since 2023. That's a sample size of 18 drafting track races, by the way, 6 per year, Atlanta, Daytona, Talladega, 2 apiece. I use 2023 here because in 2022 you still had Kyle Busch as a Toyota, you had Kurt Busch as a Toyota, throw Martin Truex in there as well. Legacy wasn't there yet. But since 2023, Christopher Bell has been the top Toyota in 7 of the 18 drafting track races. Do the math on that when you consider plus 650 top Toyota. It's not even close. The line, I think this is what would be considered fair value, would be around plus 250, right? If you do the math on the probability, 7 divided by 18, he is plus 650 on DraftKings Sportsbook. This is a must bet for a guy that has showed incredible progression on the drafting tracks. It cannot be overstated how much he has improved from first couple years of his career to now. He's got 2 top 5s in the Daytona 500 in the last 3 years. He won at Atlanta last year. He had another top 3 at Atlanta where he got DQ'd. He had another actual top 5 at Atlanta. He's been exceptional, especially at Daytona and Atlanta. Talladega, the results have not been there yet, but at Daytona and Atlanta, Christopher Bell has arguably been as good as anybody. I mean, this line is shocking to me. And I know that they've got Denny Hamlin as a favorite in the Toyota category, which is pretty standard. And you can maybe say some lines are going to be inflated on the favorites because you have more Toyotas in the field. You've got potentially 2 more Toyotas in the field. Jimmy Johnson will be in it in the number 84 for Legacy, and then Corey Heim will be in if he qualifies in the Daytona 500. He's got to make it in, whether it's on speed in qualifying or virtue of advancing in the dual races. Now, if Corey Heim doesn't make it, I think this line will definitely shift. Now, it can depend on what happens. If he wrecks or he gets a bad qualifying spot, it might shift, or it might stay around plus 650. I don't think it's going to get any longer. I don't see any scenario where this gets any longer. And if it does, you got to bet it. You got to bet it right now anyway. But I love Christopher Bell. I love Christopher Bell. He is around at the end of these races. He's gone to victory lane. He's knocked on the door in the Daytona 500. Again, I just cannot reiterate enough, especially when you watch the tape, when you watch old races, Daytona and Atlanta in particular. This guy is the most improved drafting track racer in the Gen 7 era. By far. I don't understand the plus 650 line. It's going to be a big bet for me. I think Blaney outright's going to be my biggest bet still. This is going to be a big bet, along with some other Toyota props. You know, if you've followed me over the past few years, one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite strategies is betting the top Toyota category and just kind of playing a numbers game, right? This is a little more detailed than that because I think this is a steal of a line, but you know, you get 10 Toyotas in the race, you bet 4 or 5 of them. You know, you've got a good I mean, you're literally just playing the numbers game saying I've got a 50% shot of hitting a top Toyota bet. And 3 of the Toyota bets that I just plugged are 10-1 or better. So, love the top Toyota category, especially with how crazy the super speedway racing is. But Christopher Bell is where you need to start on that front. So, thank you for listening to this TED Talk, this Tanhart Talk on Christopher Bell. Top Toyota plus 650, outright plus 2200, 22-1. Moving on to the next guy. Joey Logano. Lame Gano. This is an insane stat that I'm about to tell you. Since 2023, it's not on the board. I didn't put a stat for this motherfucker. It is also true that he just wrecks from the lead all the time. He leads so many laps, he wins stages, competes for stages, and he gets wrecked out of the lead. Eventually, he is going to break through. Let's just go there. He's already won the Daytona 500. He's won at Talladega multiple times. He's won at Atlanta in the drafting package multiple times. He's up there in terms of being a top dog, in terms of being a front runner at these drafting tracks. Since 2023, he has led over 600 laps at Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta combined, which is absurd. Now, a lot of those probably came in Atlanta, but second place in that category is not even close. He's got the best since 2023. He has by far the best driver rating at drafting tracks. And he's got almost, other than his 2 Atlanta wins, he's got nothing to show for it, considering Daytona and Talladega. It's absurd how often he runs up front and gets wrecked from the front of the pack. Happened last fall. Literally happened last fall. He was leading the race in the bottom lane and got spun out. So, Logano, I've already told you guys on Twitter that if he wins, I will buy a bunch of Joey Logano gear and I will wear it on my live streams and to the next race I go to. I think I said a week straight I will wear Joey Logano gear if he wins the Daytona 500. And then whatever the next race is, I'll wear it too. That way I get, the public shaming part. So after I said that, I made a pretty quick declaration that I was going to bet on Joey Logano in the Daytona 500. But the statistics and the film back him up too. So don't just think it's a hedge, if you will. So moving on from Joey Logano, back to the sleepers. Cole Custer. Everybody loves an underdog, right? Everybody loves an underdog in the Daytona 500. You got to have some underdogs. Whether it's gut, always go with your gut, especially in a race like this. I can't express that enough. When you have a gut play, do not ignore it. Do not ignore gut plays. But Cole Custer, top Chevy, 35-1. And then his top 5, which I've already bet at 11-1. I think that's still available. Forget the gut here. Just read that. And then go watch the races. He competed for the win in both Daytona races last year. On the white flag, he was battling for the win. I'm not going to take him outright. I'm going to take him top Chevy, 35-1. I wish he was still a Ford because he'd have less cars to compete with and he'd probably be priced similar. But I mean, last year was enough proof to say, all right, I'll take a top Chevy bet. I'll take a top 5 bet on Cole Custer. We don't know what his strength is really yet in Cup. He was fantastic in Xfinity. He's going to be O'Reilly Series. They should call it O'Reilly Grand National Series, by the way. O-Rap sounds stupid. With all due respect to O'Reilly, it should be OGN, O'Reilly Grand National Series. Anyway, he was fantastic in the Grand National Series. Always has been when he's gone back and forth. What is his strength in Cup? Really struggled last year. I mean, really, really struggled. I think he had a good run at like Mexico City on a road course. But his best opportunities to win were both right here behind me at Daytona. So yeah, I'll take a shot. 35-1 to be the top Chevy. We'll cut the field in half. Sure. And then 11-1 for top 5. Yeah. He's 1 for 2 on finishing in the top 5 at Daytona. With his new team. He had, obviously, I guess maybe it's not obvious, but he did have a prior Cup stint before he went back to the Grand National Series. I'm just looking at last year. Play it simple. He was in conversation to win the Daytona 500 and the Coke Zero 400. We'll leave it at that. He's a fair sleeper to play here this weekend. Moving on to the next guy, Alex Bowman. I talk about Christopher Bell being a guy that has had phenomenal super speedway drafting track progression. Alex Bowman is a close second. Another price that is off. DraftKings has 9-1 top Chevy for Alex Bowman. Hard Rock has 10-1 top Chevy for Alex Bowman. Caesars Sportsbook has 14-1 top Chevy for Alex Bowman. Another great line. Another fantastic line, in my opinion. The outright 30-1, I think that's available on BetMGM. I haven't bet that yet, but I'm going to bet Alex Bowman. He's a guy that is lingering. You ever watch Pineapple Express, the movie? Linger. It's used in a negative connotation there. It's used in a positive connotation here on Alex Bowman. He is lingering towards a Daytona 500 victory. Very underrated. You want to throw a narrative in there? Some juju, gut play. 20 years ago, the 48 car won the Daytona 500 with Jimmy Johnson. Fast forward here. Bowman finished second at the Daytona 500 in 2024. He's got the second best average finish amongst all full-time drivers since 2023 at these drafting tracks. Boom. Did that just blow your mind? What? Alex Bowman? Yes, that's fucking correct. This guy has gotten better and better, and kind of like I said with Kyle Busch, he just shows up at the end. He's just there. That's kind of what William Byron does. I'm not betting on William Byron for the Daytona 500. If he wins 3 in a row, hats off, applause. I just can't make myself believe that you can make that happen. That's insane if William Byron can win 3 in a row. But Alex Bowman is right there with him in terms of just getting to the end of these races. So, you know, he helped Chase Elliott win at Atlanta last year, finished third, and a photo finish for second. He's just getting closer and closer and closer, and no one is going to think about him. But again, when you watch the tape, watch old races at similar racetracks, he's just starting to show up more and more and more and getting quality finishes. And to me, that's a fantastic indicator of someone who could break through. This is, by the way, the strategy I used on Christopher Bell at Atlanta last year, which was a big hit. Nobody was talking about Christopher Bell, and he was 30-1 to win in Atlanta. And I talked about him all week long because of this exact strategy. Watching the tape, look at this guy sneaking up at the end of these super speedway races over and over and over again. He's not winning them, but he's getting closer and he's getting closer. And the most important part in picking a breakout guy, I think, is seeing the guys that survive and constantly put good finishes together, staying on the lead lap. Because most of the time in these races, it's not the guy that leads the most laps that wins the Daytona 500 or wins at Talladega. It's often somebody who can survive. And unfortunately, in Talladega, it's more strategy related than ever with the bullshit fuel. I don't want to talk about it. Daytona's been a little bit better than Talladega in terms of the racing product, passing 3 lanes, 4 lanes, whatever it might be. But Alex Bowman, I love him in this sleeper category. Do not sleep on Alex Bowman. 14-1 top Chevy. If you don't want to bet the outright, at least bet the top Chevy. That's a very, very good line when you consider the super speedway progression of driver number 48. All right, who else we got here? One of my buttons did not work. Let's see if this one works. AJ Allmendinger. It's kind of weird probably seeing the Greg Biffle font there. Be like Biff. Rip Greg Biffle. You look at the past results of AJ Allmendinger, they don't really stack up as what you would be like, oh, I should bet him. But again, I love the narrative with the tributes. I think you cannot ignore how Daytona is very ironic, very sentimental. I mean, there's all sorts of crazy winners that have had some sort of emotional or sentimental deal in Speed Weeks the year before. Just Daytona is ironic in the best ways and the worst ways. And I'm hoping that it will be ironic in a good way. Not to mention, AJ Allmendinger has had glimpses. And let's just be clear too, 75-1 outright. It is not, it's not a stressful bet to put down. 25-1 top Chevy. Not a stressful bet. It's not a high risk bet. I got 11-1 top 5. you know, the more I've dug around, sometimes you can it's easy to overthink and over research. I kind of made myself think that the 11-1 top 5 might actually be a little pricey. I'm already in on it. I've already bet it, but pair it with a top Chevy, small bet, and an outright small bet. I think that 75-1 does not exist anymore. I think the best I've seen is 60-1. That's okay too, but go back to the duel race last year, duel number 1. AJ Allmendinger almost won that duel. I'm just saying, that is a confidence booster. I love duel races. I think duel wins and good performances in duel races do matter. And AJ was one good push away from flying around the outside of Bubba Wallace there. So he's proven he can run well and compete and have knowledge of the draft. He's proven it in Xfinity, in O'Reilly. In the O'Reilly series, he's won at Talladega. He's almost won a Daytona multiple times with colleagues. So, you know, forget the narrative. The tape will tell you there have been moments that could justify betting on AJ Allmendinger as a long shot. I don't know if I'd call him a sleeper as much as a pure long shot to win the Daytona 500. And if you want to bet on him to win, consider the top Chevy, consider the top 5 bet. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Remember, I did have that one button that did not work. Oh yeah, I do have one. This is the one right here. Speaking of, nope, motherfucker, wrong one. Get off my screen. Fuck you. Where is it? Hey, what did I just say? Why is that playing again? Speaking. God damn it. Excuse my language, but why and where is this one guy that I'm looking for? Bear with me, bear with me. I don't know where this guy's... Dude, get off my screen, Joey, you fucker. Why are you still here? All right, thank you. Go away. I'm actually going to replace you with the right... I don't know where it is. Okay, the last guy I wanted to talk about is Bubba Wallace. I don't know where his slide is, and I'm pretty pissed off that I'm missing it right now. But Bubba Wallace, top Toyota, plus 550, great line. Well, maybe not a great line, but a good line. I mean, he's warranted a bet at that price because he's been very good in the draft. Very good in the draft. That plus 550 is available on Caesars. Plus 500, 5-1 is available on DraftKings. That's all right too. But Bubba has been a factor in these drafting track races. He's been really close to winning. Almost won the 2022 Daytona 500. He's almost won at Atlanta. He has won at Talladega pre-Gen 7 era. He almost won at Talladega in 2023. I referenced that earlier. Kyle Busch's win was him throwing a bad block and him and Blaney crashing. So I think Bubba Wallace is another one of these guys. He's had some wreckers or checkers moments, but when he doesn't wreck, he's in the conversation most of the time. So I love when I see 5-1 on his top Toyota. I bet it every single time. We've talked about other top Toyota bets with Erik Jones, Christopher Bell. Throw Bubba in there too. I think Bubba Wallace has proven himself enough in this style of racing that he could be a top Toyota contender. He could be a winner in the Daytona 500. He's been close. Second twice now. One in the Gen 6 era, one in the Gen 7 era with two different teams. His outright is 25-1, I believe, is the best price available. Sleeper bet, right? Sleeper bet. I actually think last year I probably paid 18-1, 20-1. So his price has gotten cheaper year to year, I believe, when we consider the drafting tracks, and in this case, the Daytona 500. So Bubba Wallace is my final play. I'm telling you, it's going to drive me nuts that I don't know where his slide went. Like, I accidentally deleted it. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. Anyway, to recap and to give you an idea of where I would rank all of these, let's go right into the top 10. The Dale Center top 10 for the Daytona 500. You're looking at them here on the board. To see all of my bets with specific unit allocations, be sure to check out dubclub.win. The Dale Club is rocking and rolling. We picked Ryan Preece. You saw it here on Dale Center. Saw it here on Dale Center for the Clash, but we picked Ryan Preece last week. You see the units for Blaney, Logano, and Keselowski. 3 of my 4 favorite bets are on those guys. Christopher Bell, of course. There's the Bubba Wallace lines. My 6th favorite driver at Top Toyota plus 600. I said the line wrong. I have not bet that yet, but it is on Caesar Sportsbook in the outright 25-1. Again, check out dubclub.win to see all of our NASCAR bets with specific unit allocations. The Dale Club rocking and rolling with a great start. That was probably loud as shit. I got all sorts of technical difficulties. Just amazing timing. But this is going to help me find the Bubba Wallace slide. It's not there. Okay. So I just didn't even put it on there, or I accidentally deleted it. That's fine. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm pissed off from this one editing error. Regardless, message has been received by you guys. Let me know what you like in the 68th Daytona 500 in the comments below. Let me know if you disagree with any of my bets. I actually really like the banter in the comments section for the Clash. So thank you guys for watching my first couple betting videos. I got sick as shit last week, put off several projects, or at least delayed them. I kind of wanted to have this out on Monday. This is out on Tuesday. We didn't see manufacturer props drop until Tuesday morning, other than Caesar Sportsbook. I think they had them for a couple extra days, but expect to see more on other books like Bet Rivers, maybe BetMGM. Hard Rock's got them. You're not going to see them on FanDuel probably, but we're still also waiting on almost did it again, O'Reilly and Craftsman Truck Series odds for those races on Friday and Saturday. So one more segment here that we did last year. I want to go back to DraftKings Sportsbook. On that topic of manufacturer props, let's make us a long shot parlay on DraftKings. There you see the promo once again as we are on DraftKings Sportsbook. You see this on the top left of the screen. That's on my Kick channel, my subscriber, and my follower count. Don't worry about it. Let's make a parlay or 2 or 3. Be careful with these small unit allocations. This is an insane dart throw. I told you beginning of the program, I like Kyle Busch. Let's do Kyle Busch top Chevy. Let's go Blaney top Ford. He's my favorite Ford in this field. And then let's go Christopher Bell top Toyota. That is 250-1. So a $10 bet will pay out $2,500 if it hits, by virtue of a fucking miracle, if we're being honest. So yeah, I like that. 3 guys that we're pretty high on combined together to make a parlay. Let's go Alex Bowman. See, again, this price, terrible compared to what Caesars has. I don't think that Caesars line will survive at 14-1. I kind of like this right here, actually. These are 3 guys that emphasized heavily. This one is 314-1. Blaney, Bell, Bowman. Then we can get a little spicier. Let's go Keselowski, Bell, Bowman. That is 636-1. A $10 bet would win you $6,300 if that would hit. Let's make one more here. Why don't we go Allmendinger, Keselowski, Erik Jones. Holy, that would be insane. This is 2,000 to 1. $10 would win you 21 grand. $100 bet would win you 215 grand if this combination of manufacturer top drivers hit. Erik Jones top Toyota, Keselowski top Ford, Allmendinger top Chevy. Wow. What a dream that would be, huh? I might bet it. We'll see. But that's what I got. We're going to do more of these, probably, certainly more in depth as the season goes on. This is not the race to build a crazy parlay or build a bunch of crazy parlays unless you do $5 bets, $1 bets, very, very small unit allocations on these because they are very, very unlikely to hit. Like the favorite parlay, Blaney, Byron, Hamlin, would be 74 to 1. So a $10 bet would win you $750. You can consider that one as well. Take all the favorites, sure. But that is what we got here on Dale Center NASCAR Betting. As we come back here to Daytona, again, link in bio to check out all the bets with specific unit allocations over on dubclub.win. You've seen the top 10. Join the Dale Center NASCAR Discord as well. There's a link in the bio for that. The community has been rocking and rolling to start the year. We've got about 1,500 members. If you ever have betting questions, tag me in the general chat or the NASCAR, whichever NASCAR Cup, O'Reilly Truck chat, you know, referencing their particular events. If you've got a question about anything, let me know in the Discord. That's the best place to get my attention. If you got a question regarding bets, the posts, Dale Center, anything really, iRacing, which I've been doing the live streams as well because it's Daytona 500 week. So again, the viewership so far has been really good. I know we had some hiccups in this episode. Whatever. I'll see you guys in Daytona or on my Kick stream. There's a link to the iRacing stream on Kick as well in the bio. But that's what I got. If I had to give you one pick to win the Daytona 500 right here to end the program, Alex Bowman. Cannot reiterate enough, folks. Go with your gut. Do not be deceived. Do not let it haunt you when you get a gut play. You get that feeling. I believe in superstition. I believe in just magic. And this place behind me displays more of that than any other venue in NASCAR racing. Go with your gut. The gut says Alex Bowman wins the 68th Daytona 500. If it help you win some money, whether it's here, duels, O'Reilly, trucks, come back, drop a like, drop a sub. And I appreciate you guys for watching nonetheless. Enjoy the 68th Daytona 500 on Fox. Wait, one more thing. I do think I will have a video out for O'Reilly and trucks. But we're waiting on odds to drop. I wanted to get the Daytona 500 preview out because I kind of know everything I'm going to bet on before I even leave for the Daytona 500. So I want to go ahead and get this one out. O'Reilly and trucks, I will try to have a video on once we get enough lines available that we can document everything and just find what we like, because it's a crazy truck entry list. I mean, that is to me, even with the Daytona 500, trucks might be the highlight of the weekend with Tony Stewart and all these stacked entry lists of competitive, talented drivers in the Craftsman Truck Series race. O'Reilly would be interesting. I'm probably going to bet on Austin Hill. And then a couple of the junior motorsports guys, a couple long shots. Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, maybe. But I'll try to have a video on that later once we get some odds that populate on these sports books. Otherwise, enjoy the 68th Daytona 500. Thank you guys for watching Dale Center NASCAR Betting. 10 bets for the Daytona 500 here on YouTube. Have a great weekend, and I'll see y'all soon.